Hi everyone. Hello, good evening. Welcome to this session where we are going to be talking about IPMAT. And this session is dedicated to some reading comprehension. We've been doing so many different types of questions over these last few weeks. Today I thought we should do some reading comprehension questions also. And that is why here's your session today, focusing on a few reading comprehension. I have about 5 plus 1, 6 passages, which we will cover today. And I hope you will find this session to be useful. Yeah. All right. If you can see me and hear me, can you give me a quick yes or no? Oh, yes. I can see myself and hear myself. Can you guys also see and hear and give me a yes or no? If I am audible and visible. Am I audible? Am I visible? Please give me a yes or no. You can also write in your names in the chat box. If you are there, it will be good to know who is here, who all are here. All right. By the way, also please remember to like the session. I can already see 2 likes through the session. All of you, please make sure you like it. Also share the session with your friends so that they can also take advantage of this session. And I hope you have subscribed to the channel, because you know that if you don't subscribe to the channel, then you will not be able to participate in the live chat that is happening. So therefore, do make sure that you have subscribed, guys. And yeah, let's get started. Today, of course, we're doing some bit of reading comprehension. Let's do this. All right. So here is your first passage. I'll give you 2 minutes to read it, and then we will try and answer this question together. Okay. This is your first question. This passage will also work for the second question. Right. I'm hoping that you are looking at this. Hi, Sham. All right, let's take a look at this question. Let's read the passage together and let's see what the answer should be. Okay, so the rising trend of remote work, we are talking of what? The rising trend of remote work, okay, has sparked significant debates about its long-term viability. So the author gives you his thought about what he's talking in the very first line. He says, okay, this trend of remote work has sparked significant debate. So there is a lot of discussion happening, and that debate is important. He says significant, which means important, about its long-term viability. Is it possible to do this on a long-term basis? While some argue that it offers better work-life balance and reduced commuting times, others contend that it erodes team dynamics and limits opportunities for spontaneous innovation. So you've got both sides of the argument, some saying it's good, some saying it is bad. Remote work requires effective communication tools and disciplined schedules, but it may lack the collaborative atmosphere that in-office settings provide. So essentially, the author is saying that remote work may not be, yes, Kavya, it is definitely good for set also. Absolutely. So the author is essentially saying that remote work is not really as good because one, it lacks collaborative atmosphere that you have in the office. It requires a lot of communication tools. It requires discipline. It stops team dynamics from happening. Innovation cannot happen because people are not there. So what is the main idea of the passage? Remote work has no advantage. Please remember, this will be an extreme option because no never will not work. Okay. Remote work offers flexibility but may reduce innovation. Well, yes, this is something that the author has said. Team benefits more from in-office setting than remote work. Okay. Teams benefit more. Okay. I'll put a star on this. Communication tools are the most important aspect of our work. Well, can we really say that they are the most important aspect of our work, of remote work? No. So I'll eliminate this again. This is a very extreme option. Now, between B and C, let's understand why, which one is correct. What is this passage about? It is about remote work. Okay. Is it about teams? No. So therefore, answer C is not correct. Answer B will be the correct answer. Okay, so your answer should be answer option B. Please understand, the minute we say that this passage is about remote work, answer B is right. So when you're looking at questions and you have two close options, what you need to do is you check for what is the subject of this statement or of this option. If the subject of the option does not match that of the passage, then that cannot be the correct answer. Okay, so that is something that you need to keep in mind. Shreya, for me to say if you will start the exam with RC, well, you can start the exam with RC if you're comfortable with it. That's what I will say. Okay. Again, this is something that depends on, depends from person to person. So if you feel comfortable in doing reading comprehension first, go ahead, man. There's no harm. All right. So here's your second question from the same passage. Which of the following can be inferred from the passage? That remote work, take a minute and read, and then I will discuss this one. In the meantime, I'll just have a bit of water, if you don't mind. Right. So the first option says remote work leads to lower productivity. Well, we don't really know if it leads to lower productivity. In-office settings are always more efficient than remote work. Please understand, they're always, and efficiency, the passage has not said very clearly. It's talked about team dynamics, spontaneity, collaboration, not more efficient. So therefore not B. Remote work is beneficial in certain situations but has its limitation. Yes, this is what the author has been trying to tell you. Teams can innovate better without the need for, again, the problem is it really teams that we are talking about? No. So therefore, if you look at your options, the best answer here will be option number C. And that's your correct answer. Okay. All right. Let's look at the second passage. This is question number 3, passage number 2. Again, take a minute, read it, and then we will try and discuss this question. All right, I'm assuming that you have read the passage. Let's take a look. Everyone, please answer this question. Whatever your answer is, you can quickly give the answer to question number 3. Let's read it. So in the modern economy, okay, we start talking about modern economy. Digital currencies have gained attention. Okay, so digital currencies are something that author feels have become important. People are looking at it. How? As a potential alternative to traditional forms of money. So instead of having notes, rupees, paise, coins, you get digital currency. Now, while many enthusiasts, now the minute I see while, I know there's going to be some twist in the tail. While many enthusiasts praise their ability to offer faster transactions and lower fees, so you have enthusiasts on one hand, you have skeptics on the other who point to the volatility and lack of regulation as significant risk. So there's a problem also. Despite these challenges, so even though there are these challenges, digital currency have seen rapid growth in popularity, especially among the younger generation. So it is that even though there is some problem, it has still become popular, right? Author is saying very positive things about it, especially among the younger set. Okay, what is the assumption that underlines this author's view on digital currency? Digital currencies are only used by, let me see if you've given me some answers. Guys, some answers, please. Are only used by the younger generation. Only is an extreme option, so I'm going to eliminate it. Okay. Digital currencies will replace, the will replace is a very extreme, very certain answer. Again, I am eliminating this one. Digital currencies are bound to remain volatile. Are bound again is extreme, but the passage has not even mentioned that. So this is something that is alien to us. So I'm eliminating. So risk of digital currencies are overshadowed by their benefits, and probably that is why there is a rapid growth in popularity. Pay attention to that, right? So correct answer here will be option number D. All right, here's the second question for this. Why does the author mention the digital currencies in this passage? Okay. Why does he mention digital currencies in the passage? Okay. Take a look and tell me what the correct answer is going to be. Is he mentioning them to discuss their legal implications? But he has not mentioned legal. So alien to us, to the passage. To highlight their growing popularity and the ongoing debate. Okay, yes, I think so. This is something that could be valid. To prove that they're superior to traditional forms, but he hasn't proved that they are superior. So therefore, not something that the passage has mentioned. So I'm eliminating. To suggest that digital currencies are a passing trend, well, please understand, he said that the currencies are growing in popularity, not that they are a passing fad. So therefore, not D. So the best answer here will be option number B. That's the one that we will take as our answer. Okay. All right. Let's do the next one. Okay, here's passage number 5. This one is on artificial intelligence. Of course, something that's very popular right now. Come on, everyone. Let's do this. Oh, I've already started getting my answers. Let's take a look. So, what is the passage saying? Let's read and understand first. So, the author is saying AI has revolutionized industries by enhancing efficiency and automating tasks. Okay, so he gives you two good things about AI. Then he says, however, as AI continues to advance, it raises ethical concerns, especially regarding job displacement and privacy. So there are two problems with AI. Many fear that AI may exacerbate unemployment as machines replace human workers, while others argue that AI will create new opportunities in fields like technology and healthcare. So this passage is also talking about the pros and cons of AI. It's a sort of an analytical passage. Okay, please understand there are three types of passages. You have analytical passages where the positives and negatives are discussed. You have the expository passages where something is detailed out. Okay. And then you have the argumentative or persuasive passages where the author is trying to convince you about something. Okay, he's trying to convince you about one idea, something is good. So this one is an analytical one because he's talking both pros and cons, correct? Now, let's take a look at what his opinion is. AI is beneficial but poses ethical challenge. See, the contrast comes here. Has no negative consequences is too extreme an answer and therefore incorrect. Okay. AI will only create more jobs is incorrect. Again, extreme, and will never affect job security is also incorrect. So best answer here will be option number A. By just understanding what type of passage it is, your answer also becomes easier to solve. All right, let's take a look at the next one. Question number 6. Which of the following would weaken this argument that AI creates new job opportunities? Come on, guys, let's get some answers in. All right, let's take a look. So, the argument that we are trying to weaken is that AI is creating new job opportunities. So, there are two ways of weakening it. The first is by saying that this is false. So, let's see if one of the options says it is false. Okay. Now, if you are to look at option numbers 1, 2, 3, 4 here, just give me 1 second. For some reason, my pen is not working. Evidence showing that AI leads to higher efficiency in industries. This is positive. I'm looking for something that is negative about AI. Data highlighting the replacement of human workers by AI. So if the human workers are being replaced by AI, then is AI creating new job opportunities? No. So this is negative. So this could be my answer. Testimonies from workers benefiting from AI advancement. So if there are workers who are benefiting, this is positive. Studies showing AI's potential for improving healthcare, positive. The only one which is talking negatively about AI and saying that human workers are being replaced, so that means AI is creating new job opportunities, is false, is option number B. So therefore, your correct answer will be B, the one that weakens or falsifies your argument. Okay. All right. Let's look at the next question. Question number 7. Let's do this. Come on, guys. So many of you are there. Please answer the questions. Also, can you all hit the like button? Oh my God. I'm so greedy for the likes. I'm waiting for your answers. Okay, let's read this. Come on, guys. So the debate over climate change has polarized political leaders. So there are huge differences between political leaders. Some are arguing that immediate and drastic measures are needed to combat climate crisis. Others are saying that economic impacts of these could be devastating. However, most scientists agree that the long-term consequence of inaction will be far outweighing the short-term economic challenges. So the scientists essentially are saying that you must take care of the climate crisis despite the short term economic challenges. So, what can be inferred? Let's take a look. Have I got some answers? Let's take a look. Political leaders are unanimous on the need for climate change. No, they're not unanimous. This is false according to the passage, so cannot be my answer. The passage has said it is polarized. Scientists are not concerned about the economic impact of climate action. Well, yes, they're saying that the consequences of inaction are much more than the economic challenges. So I'll put a star on this. There is a division of opinion among political leaders on how to address climate change. Well, yes, this is so right. All political leaders support immediate measures. No, this is so false. Now, okay, take a look between B and C. B is a much, sorry, C is a much better answer because it is talking clearly about the division of opinion among political leaders. The passage again was about politicians and their action on climate change and not about scientists. So therefore, again, the topic of the passage becomes very important for us. So correct answer is going to be C. There's a division of opinion among political leaders on how to address climate change. Let's look at question number 8. Why does the author mention the view of the scientists? So the author has mentioned the view of the scientists, saying that long-term consequence of inaction far outweigh the short-term economic challenges. So why does he mention that? Take a minute and give me the answer. Come on, guys. All of you can give me the answer to this one. Okay, so to emphasize, I'm waiting for your answers, but let me start my discussion. So, to emphasize their agreement with political leaders is so false because they disagree with the political leaders. So, therefore, A is incorrect. To support the argument that inaction on climate change is harmful in the long run, yes, this is what he's trying to do by mentioning the scientists. To suggest that economic concerns are more important than climate change is false according to the passage. He is not saying that. Is the exact opposite. No? The scientists say that inaction is worse than the economic impact. To show that political leaders are disregarding scientific consensus, again, was this example given to show that political leaders are disregarding and all political leaders? No. So therefore, the best answer here is going to be option number B. That's your correct answer, guys. Okay. All right. Let's go to the next one. Question number 9 and 10 from the same passage. Again, take a minute, read it, and then we will discuss. Yes, Samuel, very good. Your answer was absolutely right. For question 9 and 10, let's take a look. 10, we will have a slightly longer passage so that you get to practice some All right. Chalo, let's read this one. So the passage says while many countries have embraced renewable energy sources to reduce their reliance on fossil fuels, transition has not been without challenges. So it's been difficult to shift from fossil fuel to renewables. Renewable energy infrastructure often requires large initial investment and can face resistance from industries invested in traditional industry or energy, of course. Nevertheless, as concerns about climate change intensify, governments are increasingly incentivizing renewable energy projects to meet global sustainability goals. So governments are putting in effort to create renewable energy projects. Now, what is the main challenge associated with the transition to renewable energy? Is it the resistance from political leaders? But that's not mentioned in the passage. So this is alien for us. So eliminate. High initial cost of renewable energy infrastructure. Yes, this is a problem, right? That is a problem. Lack of support from environmental groups. Again, this was not mentioned in the passage. So alien for us. Eliminate. The inefficiency of renewable energy sources was not mentioned again in the passage at all. We don't know if they're inefficient. So not possible. So answer will be B, and that's your correct answer. Okay. I hope you got that. Let's look at the last question from these short passages, and then we'll take up a longer passage also. All right, let's read this. So it says, why? What does the government suggest? Remember, suggest means infer, right? You can infer about this. About government policies regarding renewable energies. Okay, let's take a look. Governments are reluctant to support? No. The governments are increasingly incentivizing. So this is false. So eliminate this. Let's look at the second one. They are incentivizing renewable energy projects. Yes, this is what he has said. Governments are unaware of the costs involved in renewable energy is not mentioned, so that's alien for us. Eliminate. Governments prioritize fossil fuel over renewable energy is false. The government is not doing that, so no. So the best answer here is going to be option number B, and that's your correct answer. Okay, I hope you got that. All right, let's look at the next passage. This is a slightly longer passage, and then there will be 4 questions that we will track. So read this one carefully, and then we will take a look. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to read this passage. Okay, I'm going to set out my timer so that I know that you've got 2 minutes. I hope you're all reading the passage. Chalo, we will also read the passage together and then we will take it forward. Okay? Chalo, it says in recent years, the concept of UBI, you understand what universal basic income is, everybody should get a certain amount of money, has gained traction. Traction means it's getting energy as a potential challenge to the solution to the challenges posed by automation and the future of work. So if automation happens as much as it is happening, then everybody needs some money to exist. So UBI could work. UBI is a system in which all citizens receive a fixed unconditional amount of money from the government. So they're all getting money, whatever, there is no condition attached, regardless of their employment status or income level. There are so many countries which do have UBI. So whether they're working, whatever is their income, they will get X amount of money. Now, advocates of UBI argue, okay, that it could provide a safety net for individuals who are displaced by automation. It could help reduce poverty and give people the freedom to pursue education, entrepreneurship, or other pursuits without the constant worry of financial insecurity. So they could just go out and, work, study, do something else. Now, there are critics who claim that it is an unrealistic solution. Now, there are concerns about how affordable it is going to be for the government. And then, if people start getting money, then they will not want to work. So, money used to fund such a program could be better spent on targeted programs that focus on retraining workers or provide support for the most vulnerable people. Now, here the debate is ongoing, but some countries have started experimenting with UBI in pilot programs. Now, Finland had a 2-year experiment where everybody, a small group of people, got a basic income. Now, the results were mixed. So, some people had better well being, better mental health, but the others did not experience a major change in income or employment levels. Now, despite this mixed result, the experiment was valuable because now we have future data for future discussions, like what is the UBI's potential impact on society. All right, let's look at the questions. What is the purpose of the passage? To take a minute, read, and then I will discuss the questions with you. All right, so what is the purpose of the passage? To provide a balance. Oops. To provide a balanced overview of the pros and cons of UBI, to explain the history of UBI, to discuss the economic implications of automation, and to argue for or against the implementation of universal basic income. Now, if you look at it, was he arguing for or against the implementation? I'll put a star on this. To discuss the economic implications of automation. No, he was not discussing automation. So this one is alien. I'm going to eliminate this. To explain the history of UBI. No, he did not discuss the history. Again, alien, something that was not part of the passage. To provide a balanced overview of the pros and cons of UBI. Well, he has discussed the pros and cons, right? And it is balanced. He is not arguing. Now, look at the tone of the passage. Was it analytical or was it argumentative? Look at your two options. One is supporting an analytical this thing, one is supporting an argumentative perspective. Clearly, the passage was analytical, and therefore A has to be the correct answer. Yes, Samuel. Yes, Samrat. Very good. So it was analytical. The passage was analytical, so therefore the answer has to be analytical. Okay, let's take a look at the second question. What evidence does the author provide to support the argument for UBI? So does he give you some evidence to say that, okay, UBI could work, or it is something that you need to think about? Does he give you some evidence? I'm waiting for your answers. Does he mention case studies from countries that have already implemented UBI? Well, he mentions one case study, that of Finland. Okay, but he doesn't mention any other case study. So countries is too broad, I think, right? So therefore, I'm going to just keep this aside. Economic projections about the future job market, but he hasn't provided these. So this is not part of the passage. So again, alien, something that is alien. The result of Finland's 2-year UBI experiment, including improvements in well-being. Yes, well, he has spoken about this. So this could be supporting the argument for UBI. Data from a global survey about people's attitude, but he has not given you a data. So therefore, this is alien again. So the best answer here is going to be option number B. Okay, I hope you got that. Okay, I've got 2 B's from you guys, Samuel and Samrat. Okay, wonderful. Let's look at the 13th question. All right, why does the author mention Finland's experiment with UBI? To argue that UBI has been proven to be effective in all circumstances, to demonstrate that it is a widely accepted policy with uniform results, to provide an example of a real world experiment, to suggest that Finland is the only country currently using UBI. Take a minute, read it, and then tell me. I think we should be able to get this answer very easily. Yes, Samuel says to provide an example of a real world experiment. Yes, looks like it. In all circumstances is extreme and therefore it cannot be my answer. It's a widely accepted policy with uniform results is false according to the passage. And is the only country using it was just did an experiment. So is it using? No. Currently using? No. So false. So best answer will be option number C. All right, let's look at the last question for today. Question number 14. Which of the following can be inferred from the passage? चलो देखते हैं कौन सा वाला इन्फर कर सकते हैं गाइस. अब हमें ध्यान रखना है कि कहां से निकल के आ रहा है और क्या चीज फैक्ट होगी पैसेज से, वहां से कुछ इन्फर होगा. UBI is universally accepted and supported by all governments. Can I say all governments? Can I say universally? UBI has already solved the issue of poverty in the countries that have tested it. Automation has not significantly affected the job market, has not significantly affected. Impact of UBI on society remains uncertain and requires further research. Now, is it supported by all governments and is it universally accepted? No, the passage is absolutely opposite about it. So this is false. I'm going to eliminate this. It has already solved the issue of poverty is incorrect. The passage does not mention anything like that. So I'm eliminating it, saying it's alien. Automation has not significantly affected the job market. Again, it has affected. So this is false according to the passage. Eliminate. Impact of UBI on society remains uncertain and requires further research. Case in point, Finland. Right? They have done it, but some people show improvement, a lot of others don't. So therefore, not the correct answer. All right, that brings us to the end of this session, guys. These were your answers for the various questions in the passage, the correct answers. If you have any questions you wish to ask me, any thoughts that are there, feel free to ask. I'm here for a minute. Helpful? I hope you've been practicing and preparing. The last mock for IPMAT is coming out. So do make sure that you are doing it. Okay. I hope you've solved all the mocks. Go revise your mistakes notebook. That's very important. Please revise all your formulae. That's very important. All of this is going to be very important. Remember in the exam to hydrate yourself, keep a bottle of water for yourself. Hydration is important. Remember to keep your admit card with yourself, okay? So that you don't have a problem. And remember to reach on time. These things are very, very important so that you're not frazzled. Also, please take off all jewelry while you're going to the center. Nothing, because sometimes they make you take it off. And then you have no place to keep it. All right, guys, that brings me to the end of today's session, of course. Thank you so much for joining in. I hope you've liked the session. If you haven't, please hit the like button. Also hit the share button so others can also view this session. And of course, remember to subscribe to the channel. Adios, mere amigos. Hasta la vista. All the best to everyone who's appearing for the exam, which is just around the corner. Yeah. Peace. Break a leg.